Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Blacklogic. We're going to take our time this morning. So, if you guys don't have your coffee, maybe you're just getting to work, put your earbuds in, get your coffee. And just so I start this off properly, I want to make sure I give an emotional warning of some of the stories and some of the clips that I'll be showing you guys. Now, originally, this is my wife's cup, right? You see that it's pink. I've drunk my coffee this morning, my Nespresso. But I always use this cup now. This is kind of like my cup. She don't even use it no more because I keep taking it. But it says, let's schedule that emotion for a later date. And I think that we have become too emotional about a lot of things that have occurred in our government and our religion and our social politics. So now with that being said, Donald Trump has literally executed the 25% to 10% tariffs on Canada and Mexico. So let's cover that very quickly here because Trump has officially imposed a 25% tariffs on imports from Canada and Mexico. And his decision comes after a 30-day pause that failed to yield any new agreements. The president's aim to address national security concerns and reduce the U.S. trade deficit. Again, it's not as if President Trump was playing hardball with Mexico and Canada. Now, initially he was, but he gave them a grace period of 30 days so they can work out a deal. In 30 days, I know he's a very busy president, nonetheless, but should be a significant amount of time to see how these trade deals, to see how some of the things that Donald Trump was asking for that we all know to be true, for the contract to come into fruition and to benefit both countries. The only thing Donald Trump that I know that was on his radar was to stop and slow the fentanyl being smuggled inside the United States of America by cartels. Two, for you guys to do your due diligence on illegal immigrations on your side of the border, because a lot of the people that are here will be deported in Mexico because they came through Mexico, not stating that they're all Mexican. Okay, we have to keep calling out that we're not speaking directly to people who are illegally here from Mexico. No, but them people came through Mexico, through that southern border. So the president, Claudia Sheinbaum of Mexico, needs to do her due diligence in securing her side of the border and providing shelter for those deportees who are coming, who have been there, and who are still will be deported to Mexico. So again, they were aware of all the illegal immigration. They were aware of the points of entry from the weak points of our border that a lot of these illegal immigrants were coming through. So that is why a lot of these tariffs essentially happen, because he's using economics to force these countries to secure their borders to protect Americans. And unfortunately, this may hurt Americans in return. But what is the price that Americans are willing to pay for our security? I can't speak for America on this one. Leave your comments and remarks in the chat. Leave them in the comment section after the video. Now, of course, they've been threatening this for quite some time. China has announced additional tariffs of up to 15% on key U.S. agricultural products, including chicken, pork, soy, and beef, effective March 10th. Canada isn't sitting idly either. They're preparing to implement retaliatory tariffs on American goods, signifying a firm stance against the U.S. measures. Now, I don't know the current tariffs. Okay, we're just talking about taxes. We have made tariffs like this threatening economic sanction on country, but they're just taxes, right, of import, exports, etc. And if China is increasing their tariffs to 15%, is America still surplusing 10% because we raised out the 25%? I don't know. What is the current China tariff that they have in place on America, or in this case, taxes? So again, these other countries are not sitting idly by. They're doing retaliatory tariffs as well. And again, who are going to hurt from some of these tariffs? The countries in the citizens of these countries: Canada, Mexico, and China. The citizens. Now, rich people, the elite, those people are in government, it's not going to really affect them. Because we already pointed out that majority of the Democrats, okay, and I'm not speaking bad on Democrats right now. I will later. Don't worry. And I'm not a Democrat. I'm not an independent. I'm not a Republican. I'm just giving you guys the truth. A lot of them are worth over $100 million as public servants. Look at my post that I did yesterday. Nancy Pelosi is worth over $200 million as a public servant. And these public servants right now, she's been in office forever, but these public servants make anywhere from, let's say, $80,000 to $200,000 a year. But in 3 to 5 years, majority of these public servants are multi-millionaires. And we're not talking about 1 or 2, 3 million. No, we're talking about 20 million plus. She's worth 200 million. I think Chuck Schumer is worth over 150 million. It's astronomical. So again, a lot of rich people, billionaires, millionaires, they're going to feel a pinch, but they're not going to feel a bite like the American citizen. So hopefully, what he's doing will work out in the long run. We might have to get over a speed bump here. But nonetheless, I hope what he's doing is working. And that's the only thing that we can do is hope that these things work out for the American citizens. Now, I know a lot of you guys like myself who have multiple portfolios or even a large portfolio. Because of a lot of the trade tensions, what it has done is it has sent shock waves through the stock markets. Major indices like the Dow Jones and the S&P 500 experienced significant declines, reflecting investor anxiety over a potential global trade war. And a lot of these economic experts, especially the investors, warned that these tariffs could lead to high consumer prices and disrupt established supply chains. I've already seen a decline in my portfolio. As a matter of fact, and I have about 3 or 4 portfolios, and this is the one that I used to teach people investing on. And I'll just pop this over here for reference. Yeah, this is my portfolio, guys. This is one of my portfolios. Look at this. Look at this. I want you guys to really look at this. Now, look how the stock market is responding to the tariffs. Now, just so I can give you a baseline reference, let me go 3 months out. So at its peak here, December 17th, I was at $49,000. I was up almost 11% on my portfolio, up almost 15,000. Then, of course, change in power in the United States of America. We see that it's still up here around 47, but it did dip. And here we are today, right? If you look in the past month here, boom. One day, and here we go. This is where we are. So the stock market is in a sharp decline. So everybody's feeling the pinch. Now, if you not have investments, I want you guys to look at your 401ks. Yep, I want you to look at your 401ks. I want you to look at your IRAs. I want you to look at your thrift savings plan. I want you to look at any investments that you have. I want you guys to follow your annuities. Okay, older people tend to have annuities, so they can get a regular paycheck every 2 to 3 months so they can really track and monitor their spending. So everybody's feeling a pinch. And again, I pray that some of the things that he's doing pan out for the American citizens. There's no need to complain. There's no need to argue, because what's ever being done, the majority of the American people voted for it. See, again, as I tell people, we should be voting on policy and not personality. We should be voting on the actions based upon legislation and not the back and forth of 2 potential presidential hopefuls. Again, people get emotional. They get emotional about things. And you should really, really schedule those emotions for a later date. And let's get down to business, because this is dealing with your bottom line. This is dealing with your livelihood. That's what I want to get at today. So President Trump is set to address a joint session of Congress, he's expected to outline his domestic and foreign policy agenda with a focus on the renewal of the American dream. Key topics likely include immigration policies, trade strategies, and national security concern. And what's the American dream? I think the American dream for those people whose lineage has been here since the very inception of America, when we were the 13 colonies of Great Britain. Prior to that, when America gained its independence on 1776, July 4th, what has always been the American dream? For you to have a house, for you to have a little bit of land. And I'm gonna bring it to modern times. For you to have at least 2 cars and your kids go to a nice school and America is safe. But in some regards, America is still the Wild Wild West. I'll play into your stereotypes. Oh, what about all the black games and black on black crime? There's black games. There's black on black crime. But then I would like to go to, let's say, Hispanic people. They have brown on brown crime. They have Hispanic gangs. They deal, and again, when I'm speaking about some of the ills, some of the illegal activity, I'm making this applicable to all demographics, black, white, Hispanic, and Asian. What about all the smuggling that happens throughout all these demographics? So there's pockets of violence in America from different groups, and it may look differently. What about the white supremacists? And I'm not speaking about those who are quote unquote white nationalists, because I think they get tied. They're not synonymous. White nationalists and white supremacist groups are very, very different, in my opinion. Now, they can be blended, they can be merged to a certain degree based on their ideology. Now, if a white nationalist state that I just want America to be white, that to me bleeds into white supremacy, because America was never all white. You get what I'm getting at? Because there are reports, not just of Native Americans, but black indigenous people here before 1526. Now, 1526 is a very important year, because it's the first that we have on paper, that we have many reports that black people were here, that were brought here essentially. But during that report, they stated that black people were already here and that those enslaved Africans revolted and ran away with people in the woods that looked like them. So again, we have actual reports of that. So America was never all white. Now, the European powers who didn't want to be a part of the European monarchy and regime and kingdom and all those good things and bad, they came to America to start a new government where things were a lot freer and democratic and liberal, but a balance of the two. So again, we have our independence and things are very different here in America. I wonder what Trump is going to say today. Now, of course, the Trump administration has announced a pause on all military aid to Ukraine. And this decision has raised alarms among NATO allies and some U.S. lawmakers who fear it could embolden Russian aggression in the region. And that is what President Zelensky should have thought about. I would have bit my tongue. I would have bit my bottom lip so hard that it would begin to bleed. But I would have not have brought that to the world stage to come to the most powerful country in the world who has been giving me support for the past 4 years and make a fool of myself. Regardless if some Americans believe that, oh, President Trump and J.D. Vance were absolutely wrong in the way they went about this because President Zelensky has been taking on the toll of the Russian invaders and aggression of the tyrants and dictators. So, see, I don't care if my president and my vice president was wrong. And it doesn't, again, I'll let you guys know. These are your presidents, regardless if you voted for them or not. Regardless if you voted or not. If you're an American citizen, these are your presidents. Don't matter if you like it or not. You're like, that ain't my president. Yeah, it is. It's okay. It's okay. Just like a lot of us, when we were about to get a butt whooping, or we was putting on restriction, or we've been given corrective action by our parents, you want to believe that they weren't your parents, but they are. Just like these are your presidents. But again, he should have been very humble. He should have been very meek. And I believe that President Zelensky should get on the phone immediately, or as I would say with the J, even though J is not in the word immediately, and call President Trump and JD Vance. And the way that you do an apology is in the same manner that you did the disrespect. Mr. President, can I meet with you and Vice President JD Vance? And I don't know if it was the Oval Office or the Blue Office, one of the offices that they had this meeting in the White House. And I want to apologize to you, two presidents, and I want to apologize to the American people for my disrespect, for my outlandish comments about filling the ocean waves where Russia could attack. I should have never said those inflammatory things. I duly apologize, but I want to make it very, very public, the same way I made a fool of myself in front of the American public. That's what he should do. That's what he should do. And I'm going to sign the minerals deal without any guarantees, because I understand that you are trying to garner peace. And even if Ukraine can have peace for 4 years while you're in office, holding back the Russian aggression, that will at least give us time to build up our infrastructure, to fortify our defenses, to put further barriers and defense systems in place. And we can negotiate on military equipment, and I'll give you more minerals and more resources. And I will negotiate with the UE nation, the EU nation of air defense systems, all sorts of things that he could do instead of being a petulant child and being very cantankerous in his remarks. That's just my opinion on it. That's just my opinion on it. And I believe he should be doing that. But also, what I want to cover here, like I said, I'm taking my time because I'm now moving to some video clips. Now, this first video clips, if you have any young children or if you have very sensitive ears to profanity, first and foremost, I do apologize. I tend not to play things that have a lot of profanity, but this video is setting a foundation so people can understand Black Americans who have been here, whose lineage is here from the enslaved Africans, who are descendants from hundreds and possibly thousands of years of us being in this country, versus people who come over here who are first and second generation from other melanated nations that may derive and are located in the Caribbean and the African continent. Also, those Blacks who are in Europe. We're very, very different. But here's the problem that I have with Hollywood. And they're doing it in spite of. They're doing it purposely. They are recruiting English, British, African, and Caribbean actors and actresses to replace Black Americans in roles that are displaying Black American greatness. And these same actresses and actors are disrespectful to Black Americans and its culture, not the culture that mass media and legacy media puts upon your TV screens to paint majority of us as criminals and hood and ghetto, even though all these other groups of people, as I say, all the demographics have their own ghettos and hood. They just call them something different. They say, oh yeah, the white trash live up there in the mountains and there in the trailer parks. But we all have our certain pockets of impoverished places. But nonetheless, I want to share with you this video. And again, there's a trigger warning of profanity, but comedian Godfrey laid down the foundation, what we have been stating for a very long time, for people like Cynthia Rivos. And I'm going to let this play in its entirety. I'm going to try not to stop it. And again, I do apologize for the profanity. Listen in.
Revo, who's playing Wicked, the witch in Revo, she said some really disparaging shit about African Americans. And then she ends up playing.
Is she British?
She's British Nigerian.
Okay.
If I'm right, I better be right, because I want to make sure if I'm not, you guys can go in the comments and go, he don't even got it right. That motherfucker don't say nothing right. You know how they. She said some disparaging shit about African Americans.
What did she say?
I want to make sure I quote it right, but if you can get your producer to find it, that would be cool.
Mario,
because I don't want to say anything out of pocket. And she said some shit about, which is funny how almost every foreigner has something to say badly about African Americans. Even Africans sometimes have fucked up shit to say about African Americans, but then everybody comes to America trying to be African American.
And benefit off of our struggle and the work that we put in.
Yeah. And what's really fucked up is she ended up playing Harriet Tubman. I go, wait a minute, you just talked about and shit on African Americans, and you're going to talk about the woman that did so much for African American freedom? You get to play her? You're fucking playing Harriet fucking Tubman? Are you out of your fucking mind? Harriet Tubman would have smacked the shit out of you if you said what you said. How could you say that? How could anybody that looks like you come into America and talk about African Americans when they are the ones that have created the foundation for foreigners to come in? The 1964 Civil Rights Bill is the reason why Koreans, Nigerians, Indians, Arabs can come in and open up businesses in black neighborhoods and still disrespect the fucking same people that are putting money in their pockets. What kind of fucking nerve is that? It's the serious hatred of African Americans in this country. It's in the soil. It's in the fucking soil, like my boy Dante says. That's my co-host. He says it's in the soil. That it's almost patriotic to hate black people. It's patriotic. It's part of the.
Damn.
It's part of that.
Oh damn.
Yeah, it's part of the American thing to hate black people.
Now, I want to point out something that he stated of how a lot of these other groups, a lot of these other immigrants who come over here and set up shop in Black American communities, and we are going to their stores, we're going to their shops, nail shops, hair shops, and they are being highly disrespectful and discriminatory against our people. And I know other people like, well, you guys are being very stupid. Let's just call it a spade a spade. Because why would you spend your hardworking dollars at shops and stores and restaurants of people who despise you, who hate you because of your skin color, who hate you because of stereotypical things that you have not witnessed firsthand? Or maybe you have, but it was only Wednesdays and Tuesdays. But the majority of people that come into your shop respects your business and are patrons who actually buy your products. Because the question I have, when I used to grow up in Southeast DC, when I was a young child, all the stores in my neighborhood were ran by black people. They had black corner stores. And then slowly but surely, as I became around 15 or 16, I've seen that a lot of the shops started to be owned by Ethiopians. They were being owned by Koreans. They were being owned by people from the Arab nations. And at the time, I didn't understand the construction of how these things occur. I was like, hey, what happened to the old black guy who used to sell the penny candies? Now those penny candies are 25 cents. So again, we have to understand that when Donald Trump was running for the presidency, a lot of black people were torn because a lot of people who were like, oh, I'm a Democrat, so I'm just going to vote for Kamala Harris. But at the same time, they were warring against their intellectual thought of, is this the right decision? Because the Democrats are for illegal immigration. The Democrats are for having men to compete against women in women's sports. You see what I'm getting at? It makes no sense. Because again, this brings me into this graphic here that I want you guys to see. That majority of the Democrats voted nay, motion to invoke closure on the motion to proceed to the consideration of the protections of women and girls in the sports bill, meaning that no men, no biological men, regardless of how they identify, should be in women's sports. Absolutely. But the Democrats voted no. They should be allowed. What? And let me tell you, and again, black folk are not a monolith, but I'm going to speak for the majority of black folk. We don't agree to this. We don't agree. We don't agree that men, biological men, should be competing against women and girls in their sports. No. If you identify as a transgender woman, but you're biologically a male, okay, no problem. Identify as you please. But if you want to compete, you can still wear whatever you want to wear, your uniform. I don't dress, whatever, however you want to make yourself up. But you're going to have to compete against the men because you're a biological man. Oh, well, I had a sex change. I had a gender reassignment surgery. Is your chromosome still X and Y? Like, did they go in and reconstruct your DNA and RNA? If not, then you're still physically superior, genetically. I'm just saying, this is what the Democrats had voted for. Now, last but not least, now I want to point this out as well. And I'm only going to play part of this. I'm not going to play part of this because Zoe Saldana has played a lot of Black American roles. But I keep telling you guys, they have allowed foreigners that look like us to play our roles. But as soon as they accept an award, they let you know they are not Black American. And in some regards, they let you know they're not even Black. I'm Dominican. Dominican is a nationality that is related to a culture, has nothing to do with race. But again, this is why I'm disliking Hollywood, is because they're getting these actors and actresses to play to get these foreigners and immigrants to play Black American roles. And they're not Black American. And you can tell by their names. Cynthia Erivo, not a Black American name. Zoe Saldana, not a Black American name. But I'm going to let you hear just a little bit of what she was stating here as she was crying.
1961, I am a proud child of immigrant parents with dreams and dignity and hardworking hands, and I am the first American of Dominican origin to accept an Academy Award, and I know I will not be the last. I hope the fact that I'm getting an award for a role where I got to sing and speak in Spanish. My grandmother, if she were here, she would be so delighted. This is for my grandmother, Argentina CC. Thank you so much. Muchas gracias. Thank you.
Right. I have nothing against the positions or movies she's been in, but you're breaking down because you finally got a role that you can speak in Spanish. Now, I don't know if you guys seen Sicario. Sicario, they were speaking Spanish. I've watched Korean movies when I was stationed over in Korea for years where they had English subtitles. I watch all types of movies. I mean, as long as you got English subtitles and it's a good movie, I'm going to watch. Just like Squid Games, right? So again, I just wish that a lot of our Black American actors and actresses would protest against foreigners taking upon Black American roles. And as you heard, Godfrey was stating that Cynthia Erivo said these very disparaging things about Black Americans, yet she played Harriet Tubman. And of course, she was going to play the role because, again, she's an actress. And again, I know a lot of people want to come out and say, well, actors, they can play any role they essentially want because they get into character. And there has been white actors who have played white American roles. Absolutely. That's absolutely true. And I think they should protest against that as well. Again, you don't really see that overseas. I've watched many Korean movies, Japanese movies, Australian movies. You hardly see Americans playing an Australian. You hardly see Americans play a Japanese or Korean or a British person. No, they're using their own countrymen and women to play those roles. What's so different? Well, Americans are melting pot. There's Americans here. There's American actors and actresses of all demographics, all races. So what's the issue here? Where's the American identity, regardless of you're black, white, Asian, or Hispanic? Where is it? Is it disappearing? And last but not least, I want to play this role here. I want to play this clip here. Now, this is going to be the longest part of the video clips that I'm going to show you guys, but I promise you, bear with me. Bear with me and watch a lot of this with me. I'm going to play roughly anywhere from 5 to 6 minutes of this, and I'm trying to decrease the amount of commenting I have because this pastor breaks it down better than I ever can of how traditional Black American, when I say about traditional Black Americans, is how we think. We're very progressive and forward thinkers, and not all of these things that the Democratic Party has infused inside of Black American culture that have made it very stereotypical, tell us one thing and do another. But again, without any haste, let me get right into this. Please stay with me.
Jamal Bryant in Atlanta berating African Americans who went to the White House to celebrate Black History Month with the president. So he told the Negro to get out of there and go stand with your people so you will know that God is on our side. Now, if one time they were trying to put out that President Trump canceled Black History Month. You know he canceled Black History Month, don't you? You know black folk will believe anything. Anything you just tell us, the sky's falling. You go start ducking. Listen, these are the same people who are for diversity. Watch this word, inclusion and equity. Now, if you're going to be inclusive, Dr. Jamal Bryant, does that mean that you ought to include black people who aren't Democrats? Are we actually in a place where the only way you can be black and stand with your people is to be a Democrat? Now, if that's where we are, we're the dumbest people on the face of the planet, and we're the only people in America who operate that way. You can be white and be a Republican or a Democrat, Hispanic and be a Republican or a Democrat, praise the Lord, whatever, and be a Republican or a Democrat. But if you're black, the only way you can be an authentic black person is to be a Democrat. That's stupid. And you know what it means? It means that explains why we spend half the time, or maybe even more, out of power. I've said for years, we need to operate politically, and I want to make this clear, in a way where both parties will compete for our vote. When one party knows that they're going to get your vote no matter what, you get nothing from that party.
Where's these black churches at? Where are these black preachers that are leading people the right way? Meaning that you have your own decision, that we're not going to bring in a Democratic politician to speak to our congregation because they're going to give us $10,000 so they can garnish our vote. Or bring in a Republican politician so they can speak to our congregation after they give us a donation of $10,000 for us to vote for them. If you really want to do that, have the people in our local area and those Democrats and those Republicans and those independents who are running for that particular office to all come in at the same time and have a debate right there in the church so people can choose legislation and the people who are backing the legislation that they agree with. But we've seen a lot of these black churches bring up, okay? We've seen a lot of these black churches bring up Democrat politicians only to speak to the congregation so they can go out and vote for them. Where are these black churches at? Where are these black pastors at? These black reverends and bishops, where are these guys at? Go ahead, Pastor Wood. I'm gonna let you finish, brother.
Another party knows that they're not going to get your vote no matter what. You get nothing from that party. So then you end up in no man's land. We are not married to the Democrat Party. People have a right to choose. And if you choose to be a Democrat, if you choose to be a Republican, if you choose to be independent, as I am, that doesn't make you more black nor less black. It means you're an American participating in the process. And God is on our side. Now, if we want to talk about whose side God is on, it's the Democrats who are pushing same-sex marriage. It's the Democrats who are pushing letting children get mutilated, little 8-year-old boys getting turned into girls. It's the Democrats who are 100% in their platform behind abortion and abortion rights up till the time of birth. If we start talking about whose side God is on, you got to dismiss most of the scripture to be a Democrat. Well, there are other things. What other things? What's more important than life? Trump ain't no good. Yeah, but he signed an executive order to protect Christians. He's no good, but the polls show that Christianity now has leveled off and is going back on the rise again since he's been in office. You just got to do your homework. Now you start talking about whose side God is on. No, the question not whose side God is on. The question is the question Moses asked. Who's on the Lord's side? It's not whether or not God's on your side. The question is, are you on the Lord's side? I just think, we still got to go back to house nigger. And all, you got to go back to that. Don't you think the rhetoric ought to evolve and get...
Thank you, Pastor. The rhetoric needs to evolve. And that's pretty much what I have for you guys today. Thank you for joining me as long as you have. But again, I had to really point out these things. These are very powerful things that I think that American citizens need to know more about Black Americans, and that we're not in these little small non-secular groups, that we're in these little heap havens and we're bottled up to ourselves. These are some of the things that I think American citizens should know about people who've been here for a very, very long time. And not those people who come to America that look like us, who may even speak like us, who may even dress like us and trench off our, they kind of rape our culture to a certain degree where people think they're us. Absolutely not. Thank you for joining me here this morning. You guys have a great and wonderful day. This is Blacklogic.